What is a mogul? A mogul is a person who dominates an enterprise or industry. We've been taught that domination looks like war, destruction, and loss. But domination is nothing more than having a commanding influence. So whether you're in your boardroom or your home office, your cubicle or your conference room, we come to dominate. As we influence each other, we will change our world. This road can be lonely and free time few, but be encouraged because you're no longer alone. Welcome to Mogul in the Making Masterclass. All right, and good day, everyone. My name is Byron Jamal, your premier love and success coach, and your host for today's Mogul in the Making Mastermind. I'm really excited about tonight. Tonight is all about game-changing support from mentors. And whether it's your brand, your business, even your relationship, everyone needs the wisdom and guidance that mentors provide. And there are some amazing pieces of advice that they can drop that make the difference between success and failure. So for all of you moguls in the making out there, looking to take your dream to the next level, tonight's talk is all for you. You know, I started Mogul in the Making as someone who has been in multiple industries, from entertainment to politics and activism and corporate life. And I realized there is such a lack of camaraderie out there. So today we're bringing in some people who can definitely speak in their industry, but will also share from their heart about their own experiences. I'm really excited about our two guests today. First up, we have the amazing David Robinson on. How you doing, my brother? How you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Byron?
I am incredible. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about mentorship and about all that you do. First, tell everybody what you do and how you do it.
So, as you said, my name is David Robinson. I own a PR agency called The David Brand. So I do a lot of entertainment, public relations, and I also do PR for products and business, but primarily my focus is in entertainment.
Awesome. Thank you so much, brother. And we also have on with us the dynamic marketing guru who has also the creator of the $1 Million Planner, Miss Monrae. Thank you so much for joining us today, love. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. All right. Sticking your big chair. I like that chair. Look at that. I like that chair. That chair is fancy. Tell us all about what you do and how you do it today.
Okay, well, hello, guys. I am Marketing by Monrae. I'm a marketing specialist and business development coach, and my whole goal is to be able to help brands get to 6 figures using digital marketing.
Wow, congratulations on doing that. That's some big stuff, and I'm really happy about what both of you are doing. David, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about how you got started in your industry and how you fell into it?
So, first off, I went to school for my degree is in advertising and public relations. I went to a school called Grand Valley State University in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where it's a lot colder right now. Sorry, but that's where I got my degree. I graduated there 10 years ago this year in 2010. And so I started, but of course in Grand Rapids, there's not really much of an entertainment scene. So the PR that I was focusing on then was more corporate PR. So I started working there and started doing other marketing things and working for a couple of the marketing agencies and then doing my own thing. But it wasn't until I came to Atlanta and I got a chance to get bit by the bug, as some would say. And I will never forget my very first time. I was with another colleague, and he invited me to come and say, "Hey, can you help walk down the talent for this red carpet?" I was like, "Sure." And that red carpet happened to have been Think Like a Man 2. And I was asked to walk down Selena Johnson. And so here I am, never even knowing what a red carpet was. And I walk on and I see Kevin Hart standing right there. Terrence J is right there. And I bumped into Lala, and I'm like, where can I do more of this? It was just the most, and that was my first introduction. I mean, was my first introduction to the entertainment side of PR. So I just started networking and volunteering. I would volunteer to help out a lot of events and volunteer to, to pick the brain of other colleagues. And before you know it, I started with my first client in 2015 and have been going ever since.
Congratulations, man. That's a great story too. I too have been on one of those carpets for the first time, not having been on one. And I remember that feeling. It's like, wait a minute, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. That song, How Did You Get Here? Nobody's supposed to be. Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt. It's like I'm clearly in the wrong place, but it was exciting. Yeah.
Well, Miss Monrae, what about for you? How did you get your start into this magical world of marketing and helping people level up their brand?
Well, it was actually by accident, I would say. I was on social media when I was in college. I was a sophomore in college, and I seen some makeup artist post and say, hey, I need an assistant. And I was like, I need a job, so I'm going to call you. So I started working with her and just doing what I naturally knew how to do. I began to help her grow her social media, help her dive into where her actual cost of goods were, and just marketing her business. And I was like, oh shoot, I like doing this, so let me do it for more people. And that's when I discovered that it was actually called, at the time I was like, well, what is this called? And I was like, oh, it's marketing. I'm taking classes like this in school. So then it began to validate what I was actually doing. So I started doing it for other businesses in Mississippi where I went to school. And then I started expanding back home to Memphis, to New Orleans. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then as soon as I graduated, I was like, I'm moving to Atlanta. Never had been to Atlanta. I just knew I was supposed to be in Atlanta because this is where businesses were. And so I moved to Atlanta, and it's just been up since then. I started doing it for more people. And since then, my firm developed, but then I wanted to be able to help more businesses because a lot of businesses couldn't necessarily afford my services. So I was like, okay, how can I help more people? Because I feel like just because you couldn't afford to pay a $4,000 or $5,000 retainer a month doesn't mean your business shouldn't be successful. So that's why I started coaching. And so I started to get in coaching where I was developing these programs. And I was like, okay, this is where my genius zone is, and that's kind of where I stayed and how I've been able to develop my brand.
Welcome. Yes, that's great. And Atlanta just is that magic city for everybody watching. Yeah. I'm not saying everybody move here because traffic is bad enough, but I'm definitely saying, right. If you don't live here, it's okay. It's all right. But no, Atlanta is one of the few cities that you really can come and have an experience that you never would have thought you would have. So really, really glad to hear that for both of you, that you had those breakout experiences. And as I stated at the top of this live, everyone needs a mentor, right? During COVID, people need at least one mentor more now than ever because things are out of whack. Nothing is as it was. So we are all experiencing, dealing with things on the cuff, and being able to have someone who has some wisdom or some advice on how to balance uncertainty and changing times often helps you to get ahead. I know that Monroe, when you were learning to walk, you needed a mentor. We call those parents. David needed a mentor when he was learning to cut his head for the first time. Bald head crew. I know.
Bald and bearded.
And the beard, right? I know. And so everyone needs a mentor. Couples, entrepreneurs, professionals, businesses all need people that can trust and advise them. Why is a mentor so necessary to what you do, David?
It's interesting you say that. So believe it or not, I really didn't have a mentor. And I really, 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 really wanted one. And at times still do, to be honest with you, because there's so many questions, the stupid questions that you want to ask. There's things that you're embarrassed to want to ask in front of anybody that you want to say, so do you put the paper in sideways or forwards? You want to ask the silly questions. Right. And, You know, one thing that I will say that I did find, and I did reach out to a few other people, it's important to find someone that you have a really good relationship with and someone that you can trust. Especially I'll definitely say, especially in the entertainment space, just because there's a lot of people that are working in the same industry, and a lot of people that are using the similar topic titles. You know, there's a lot of people that use the title publicist. There's a lot of people that use the title stylist or whatever else it is. And oftentimes people see that as competition. And truth be told, I understand why, because there are people that are invested in finding any opportunity that they can undercut someone else. So I think it's just really important to, whenever you're looking for a business mentor, not only look at the resume, but also look at the heart. Because there are people that have fantastic resumes that the heart may be not so much. But then on the flip side, there are people that have a wonderful heart, but may not necessarily have the resume that really validates the places that you're trying to go. So I would say, in the search for a mentor, find someone that, one, is interested in being a mentor, because everyone's not meant to be a teacher. Everyone doesn't have, because it requires a level of patience to actually talk to someone and say, like, hey, no, you're doing this wrong. Let me see what you're looking at, let's strategize at what you're trying to accomplish. So you definitely want to make sure that you have someone that also has a bit of a teacher mentality, a big brother mentality, big sister mentality, because it can really go a long way. Honest to God, I think God just said, nope, I want you to go through all the bumps and the bruises on your own, because I promise you, I have so many friends that are witnesses. I was like, I really feel like I need a business coach or a business mentor, blah, blah, blah. But I will say, if there anyone, my pastor, Bishop O.C. Allen, was a great mentor, in the sense of, honestly, he doesn't work in the PR space at all. But there were certain key conversations of just keep going that really meant a lot. Yes, it's hard. Yes, this is difficult. And yes, this may suck right now. But what's on the other side of it is worth it. Keep going. And so that would be what I would say, as far as, the most mentorship I've experienced, but also just notes as anyone that's on the search of one, certain things to look for.
That's good. And I too understand your plight. I do find that, I'm not saying just for men, but men do have a hard time finding mentors outside of the space of like athleticism. Outside of that world, it can be difficult to find a mentor. And Monrae, you are for many a mentor for in the way that you work. So for you, how is it, as someone who is a mentor for others, how is it for you having a mentor? How does that look in your life?
So for me, much like David said, when I first started my business, I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm just doing what I thought was what I was supposed to be doing. So I didn't even know how to look for a mentor, because I didn't know what to look for, because I didn't know what I was doing. I said I was doing marketing, but hey, it was a gift that I had. And I didn't even realize that I had that gift until somebody told me, like, you can sell your knowledge, right? And I'm like, everybody don't know how to do this, like it took a minute, right? So for me, even growing up in this space, I would say I really didn't have anybody to look to until recently. So it's funny that we're even having this conversation today, because I dropped the second part of my documentary today, where I talked about how I came out of a season of depression because I had lost a partnership with someone that I thought was going to be fruitful. I thought that it was going to be my way to my first $1 million. And I actually, I stopped my business to partner with this person. And so I went through that season, and what got me out of that season was a mentor, somebody to actually show me what I needed to do. Because even though I do this for everybody else, I had no idea what to do with my company. Like, I had all of this content, all of this stuff to do. And so I hired a business coach, King Ashley Ann, and she actually helped me. Like, the first day, I think I paid her one day, And probably like 3 days later, I made like $10,000 just by her telling me. Not that I didn't have the tools already, but her to be able to look into my business and say, okay, hey, this is what you need to do. You got it already. Bump it up, sell like this, say this. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Duh. You know, to have her. And then I also hired a financial advisor, George. He owns Capital Wise. And I didn't even expect George to even be, I call him my big brother, but I didn't even expect him to turn into that capacity. But he was like, I always saw something in you. Like, I knew that you had this hustle about yourself that you would be able to achieve what you're achieving now. And so just having them two in my corner, like going through things when I lost my almost $20,000 worth of inventory, to have that person to call and they just be able to say, like, I get it. Because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we don't, and this is why I do it for my coaching clients, because a lot of us don't have people in our family that's doing what we're doing. So we're going through this struggle alone. We're doing this by ourselves. And so who do you call? You can't call necessarily your friend that works a 9 to 5 and say, man, I ain't got a client in 2 months. Like, my rent due. You know, like, they're like, go get a job, you know, but it's like, you know, so it's like you need somebody, you need a corner of people to be able to say, like, I understand. Okay, let's come up with a game plan together. Let's talk about this together. And so that's really why I even created my programs, where I created my community, the Millionaire Mob, because we need people to go through this with. Like, this entrepreneur stuff is so hard. And it's like, if you're only doing it by yourself, you're not going to be able to succeed, because, I mean, it'll wear you down. You know, it'll just wear you out. So that's why I do feel like, you know, having a mentor, even if it's just somebody to understand, because sometimes we think of a mentor has to be somebody that's above you, or, you know, somebody that knows more than you, or whatever. Even if it's just somebody that's going through this journey with you, that could be able to say, like, you know, nah, David, don't do that. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You know, like, just to be able to guide you and tell you, like, nah, don't trust them. They look shady. You know, just to have somebody with you, it just helps so much more.
I agree. Look, when people come to me and their relationships are distraught and their love life is all jacked up, and they're like, I ask them straight up. I say, well, who have you been talking to about the situation? And they say, well, my mama and my cousin and one of my friends. And I'm like, so tell me about their relationships. Well, my mama been divorced twice, and you know, my cousin just got out of jail, but he knows some things. And then, you know, my best friend, well, he ain't had a relationship ever. But, you know, I mean, I'm just like, now you don't need somebody who's been in a relationship for 30 years per se, but you definitely want somebody who is at least on the level that you're on, to say, these are the things that I've learned from the things that I've done, and this is how it's proven success. So like for me, what I say when I'm looking for a mentor is, you don't have to be steps ahead. You just need to have gone in the direction that I've gone, and walked in similar steps, not steps ahead, but similar steps, so that I can bounce off ideas and decisions off of you. So like for you, David, somebody in PR, you know, it doesn't mean they have to have a bigger company than you to be a mentor of sorts. Just means that they've had to deal with some of the things you've dealt with in PR, right? So they dealt with those things. So when you go to them, they're like, they're not operating from an empty well. You're not trying to draw from an empty well. They have a method to pull from, a source. And like for you, Monrae, when you talk to King Ashley, and I love her, by the way. That's my home sister right there. That's my home girl. I know her for a fact to be someone who has been through the mistakes and has gone through it. And while she is helping people make millions of dollars, it is very true that when she wasn't, she still had a lot of experience. And so people could still pull from her. So that's what I look for. I think that's so vital, that when you're looking for a mentor, at least they've had similar steps with you and on their journey. Now, well, let's hit on this piece, because like David was saying, it's hard to find a mentor. Monrae, you say you found King Ashley in that sense, but how do you find a mentor? David, if you were going on an elusive search for it, if you were in the thick of, you say, look, I'm getting me a mentor in 2021, right? What would be your method to do that? I'll start with you, Monrae. How did you find the mentor that you got?
You know what? It honestly had to be God. Like,
That's what I was gonna say.
yeah, it has to, because first I was looking for help, but I wasn't like, okay, I'm looking for mentor, I'm looking for, like, I just was trying to find something, somebody that knew something. And it's just like, I know I've been in the industry, I've been around the people, you know, so I know everybody don't know everything that they say they know, right? So it's like, I don't want to give my money to somebody and they don't have it, you know? And so for me, I booked the consultation call with her, and I just had this intuition about it. I was like, well, I'll try anything once. If it don't work, I'll give my money back. You know, like, I just stop, you know. So for me, I just had to try something. But when I tell people that are looking for me to be their mentor or their coach, I say, come to my free sessions. I go live every day. If I'm talking about the things that you feel like you need help with, start with a low cost product where you can just dip your toe in, you know, then go into the coaching program that you're looking for. So, you know, and then if it's a friendship wise, if you're trying to, like, if it's not more of a formal coaching situation, I think it just happens organically. Like, I have friends that maybe started out working with me as my email marketer or whatever, and now, like, we bounce ideas off of each other, you know. So I think one, like I said, it has to be God that I was even able to find Ashley, but just the other people that have came in my life, honestly, it has been through connections, other people networking with other people, and them being able to tell me, like, okay, this person does this. And it's always so funny because I always say, like, I don't have a lot of friends, but all my friends come from work, right? Like, because you think about it, if you're working a 9 to 5, most of your friends will be who you work with. And so as entrepreneurs, we don't have no friends because we don't work with nobody. We work for ourselves. So I always say the people that I connect with that work in my business, I try to connect with them and see what they know. And they'll even connect me with other people that they feel like it will be aligned with. So just aligning yourself with like-minded people will just have their ripple effect.
That's good. What about for you, David?
One of the things I'd like to, to add to that is, definitely in the same vein of what Monrae was saying, in the fact that it starts with God, honestly. I mean, it really does. Without trying to not sound deep, but it does. Because one thing that I learned in my personal narrative is that sometimes you can hire a business coach. And I will say, I've actually sat down with some. And I've sat down with some business coaches from the SBA who they offer certain free services with business coaches and a few other things. And oftentimes I found that they just didn't understand the business. They just didn't understand, how you have to do certain things relational. So when I say that it starts with God, in the sense that, okay, what I did was I made subject matters of, like, okay, God, I really want to figure out how to do this one piece. So God, just place the person in my life that gives me the answer to this one piece. And I'll even give a huge shout out to your publicist, Byron, Leslie Tops of Tops PR firm. Shout out to Leslie.
Come on, Leslie.
And so I remember having lunch with Leslie, and I asked, just asked her a couple questions. I was like, okay, Leslie, I've got some stupid questions to ask you. So what do you use for this? How do you do this? How do you do that? And she was open book, and she was told me whatever she wants. And I was like, oh gosh, thank you. I appreciate that. I same thing with another colleague of mine in the industry, Bentley Dieter. And Bentley, I've had several conversations with Bentley. I need to get such and such. How do you think it is? He's like, okay, we'll send it to this and this, and it becomes just kind of a network where God ordains the answer, but it may not necessarily all come from one person, right? So as time progressed, I just found that God was supplying the need, even if it didn't necessarily come from one person.
That's good. I have to agree with both of you. Choosing God first and foremost, as Sheila Salon said, it's really important to do that, to have God as the leading source for finding someone like that. I love what you said also, David, about being able to have a prevailing thought or a prevailing question something you have that you can focus your energy on and allow that thing to then be answered by the universe to really come
Manifest.
back
Yep.
to you, right? I think we don't do that. So what that is intentionality. It's narrowing it down so it's something specific. I know, like when Monrae, you get this all the time when people probably come to you and they say, when you ask them who's their target audience, and they're like everybody, or black people, like, no, that is not your target audience. You can't say everybody in the world, okay? So having a specific targeted thing. I also want to say this: times have really changed, and where people were working jobs for 30 and 40 years straight and retiring on the same job, and they needed a mentor inside the company in order to move up and really like find out the ropes and see who the influencers were and the pushers and the pullers. Like, a lot of people now barely stay on a job for 2 years. And then a lot of people are more entrepreneurial. So mentors don't necessarily look the same either, right? So you may not need that mentor that's the mentor that's been in that company for 30 years and they're showing you the ropes, because that's not what you necessarily want to do. And so how do you find a mentor in an entrepreneurial space where you may only need a mentor, let's say for a project, and not for I need you for 3 years. I just need you for a project. So what do you think about that, David?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that with finding a mentor, it really is, it can be prime example. Say if there's someone that wants to do a cooking channel on YouTube, right? They may not necessarily need to find another chef. They just may need to find somebody else who's good at increasing their following. So they could be increasing their following in makeup tutorials. It could be increasing their following in fashion. It could be video games. You never know, but it's all algorithms at the end of the day. So it's just about finding out how to get the right meta tags and the right things behind it to make sure that you are creating ads that are lookalike in order to get to the right people. So you may find that, okay, yes, I'm trying to do something that's different, but how did you get successful with this? Also, it could be financial. It could be that I'm just terrible with organizing and finances. Like I know that that's not my skill set. Praise God that I have income, but I'm not very good at managing it. That's just not my skill set. But so I may not necessarily need a full business mentor. I may need someone that can help me in the finance, just like Monrae mentioned her financial advisor, which would love to get the info. I would, maybe it's just about really sitting down and really taking an opportunity to see, because one of the things like you mentioned earlier is the fact that times have changed. And one of the things about times changing is that basically the world has opened up that you can do everything on your own. If we take if you take the music industry, for example,
yes,
it used to be that you would want the record label to sign you, because then the record label comes with the publicist, it comes with the radio promotions, it comes with the photographers, the makeup artists, the hair, it comes, and the record label finances all of those people. Now we have this thing called social media, right? And so we can go on social media and boost our own music. We can tag people in it. We can send it to DMs. We can do all of that. Then we can hire a publicist on our own. We don't have to wait for the record label to do it. We can hire a publicist on our own. We can hire a marketing expert on our own. We can, and we could simply just learn how to do what the publicist does. Like, we could just sit there and learn and Google how to write a press release. And who do I send said press release to?
Right. It's so funny you said that. I have a funny story about that, brother, because I was interviewing Sammy, and when he took that time off when he was young and when he got older, he was saying when he started doing his own stuff with, of course, in the beginning he had a label and it's backing and support. But when he was coming back out, he didn't have any of that. And he was in his room of his apartment doing the envelopes, mailing out CDs. He was mailing out thousands of CDs from his house. He had CDs in the trunk. He was doing it all. He would answer the phone and have a different voice for the PR person.
I know some people that do that.
Google Voice number for the, So yes, you are. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I had to say that because for somebody who's thinking, yeah, but that's when you're starting off. No, it could be that you're at this level and things happen and you need to rebrand or readjust. And the same thing is true. So yes.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, one of the things that we didn't have Google, believe it or not, Google just came out in the early 2000s, like 2001, I believe. So in the 90s, it wasn't Google, you know, it wasn't like you just can Google everything you need, but now we do. So we have, I mean, we don't have to wait on the world to give us a platform. Anybody can get YouTube, anybody can get Facebook, anybody can get Instagram, anybody can get Twitter, and anybody can look up how to increase following, how to do this, how to get heard. I can research and see what are the opportunities. You can research and even go online sometimes to go to like the BET Awards. And if you want to submit to be considered a performer, you can go to BET.com or BETawards.com, look at press contact and see who, and it'll say literally who the talent submission is. You can do that on your own. So, and one of the things about that is, I think taking the first step is recognizing that everything I need is within me. You know, when you plant a seed, a seed goes in the ground and it's not carrying baggage because everything that it needs to grow is already on the inside. So I think that's one of the biggest things that anybody that wants to bud and grow into entrepreneurship is the belief system and knowing everything that I need is at my fingertips and I can do it.
Yes.
And then you make it happen.
Everything is. That's a good analogy too about the seed. I love that. What about for you, Monrae? What are you thinking when it comes to the changing times and how mentors may look different today than they used to?
So I definitely think they look a little bit different. And what I tell people all the time, even before they even come through my coaching program, you have to know what you need. I can't tell you what you're looking for. I can't tell you where your business is lacking. I can't tell you where you need more help in. And so even with that, like you said, I didn't necessarily need someone to tell me how to put my programs together or what content to teach or what to do. I needed someone to look at my business and was like, do this, do this, do this. That'll work. You know, like I just needed somebody to be kind of like the puppet master until I was able to think on my own and see myself as my own client. And so I was able to be able like, oh, okay, this is easy. And even with my financial advisor, I knew I had an accounting degree, so I knew how to count money, but did I want to? Did I know what to actually do? And so I had to realize what I need, and what I needed then is not what I need now in this season. So you also have to understand what you need to grow and what you need to actually push you forward so you can achieve more. And so that will help you determine who you actually need as a mentor or what type of coach you need or what type of class you need to take or what information you need to look up. But a lot of times I see in my clients where it's more so because a lot of them are just starting their business. And so it's always funny to me because as soon as they DM me, they're like, we need to get on the phone. We got to talk. I'm like, why we got to talk? Like, you don't even know what you want to do. You need to spend some time with you before you spend some time with me.
You preaching good there.
That was good right there. All by itself.
So right.
Yes. So
you're so right.
Yes. So that's one thing I always say, like, you have to identify what you need first and come up with your own ideas, because if you are waiting on somebody else to tell you the answer, then you just gonna go with whatever their plan is, and then one year later or 30 days later, you ready to rebrand and it's something different because it wasn't what you wanted to do in the first place.
Absolutely.
Ooh, yes, I've seen people rebrand every 30 days.
No, right.
You hit it right there. I to add to your point, you know, I have been approached with those conversations. So I need to get with you because, you know, I want to do this like t-shirt thing. And so I need to get with you about, okay, so what is it? Well, you know, I'm still in the early stages of writing. So you don't need a publicist or a marketer. You need a business plan.
Right.
So like,
you need to figure it out first.
Right. You know, and
you need to go play.
Right. And it's interesting to always also know when you do find the business coach that they're not going to care, no matter how wonderful a person they are. They should not care about your business more than you do.
Right.
Nor should you ever expect it either.
Baby.
It is your baby at the end of the day. There are people that are going to help you along the way, but you have got to be the one to feed it every day, just like you would a child. You are the one that are in the daily maintenance, but it's you. That's it. You were so right, Monrae.
Ooh, spot on. I am here for it. I told one client, they said they wanted a mate, and I said, well, you don't even get on. You don't even get on our calls on time. So I know that you're showing up for dates late. I know that I know for a fact you don't respond to text messages well. I know for a fact. So if you do it with me, I know. So for some people, they have to practice in their own lives to figure out what they really want before they start going after something bigger. And the first thing is the most important thing because it guides the next thing. And people miss that step. Everybody's talking about what's next and what I'm going to get and what dream I have in that t-shirt company. And they haven't even they can't even clean up their own room, and it's kind of like your level of consistency and your standards are already low in life. How are you going to have a whole business? A whole business? You're going to have a whole business.
Exactly. I tell people all the time, like, people don't understand your personal life reflects you in your business. Like, that's why I actually came out. I have the $1 Million Planner, but it's another product I have called a Purpose Planner that I make people go through when they go through my beginner course. Like, you need to because it's asking questions like, do you trust your mom? Do you have judgment issues? Do you not like this person? Why do you keep these friends around that don't like you and talk about, because you need to figure out why you're doing these things in your personal life, because you don't trust your mother, you don't trust your sister, and that's why you can't trust that business partner or that person that's trying to coach you. And that's what is directly into your business. So you got to figure all of that out first before we even get into this business stuff. That's why it's not working. It ain't got nothing to do with you ain't got no money. It's you. You the problem.
Let me tell you something. I have to add to that point. I'm going to share something very vulnerable that I don't think I've really shared, but I went through that even and I had to have a harsh reality even in that for myself. There were times that I've worked with different people and I may not charge what really the real value is, or may not charge it off simply for the sake of being able to take on. And then I was feeling like I was running myself, to the end of like running for all these things and not really getting the revenue that I deserve. And it wasn't until I was in my therapy session that my therapy session said, well, then why aren't you getting the wedding revenues? I was like, oh, well, this opportunity and this is a great opportunity to be with this person. So she evaluated and said, so it sounds like to me that you feel like you need them and not recognizing that they hired you because they need you.
Yes.
So it really did mirror. It was mirroring how my personal viewpoint of myself. My viewpoint of myself was that they were doing me a favor by allowing me to be associated.
Right.
When the opposite is that they chose me because I was good.
Yes.
So, and I didn't realize that. So it was when that mental shift happened of saying, no, I understand what the product is, then everything else has to fall in line.
That's good. That's real good. Y'all talking good on here today. She preaching. What about this? Last big question. What if a mentor gets it wrong? How do you, so you get some advice from someone you feel like you trusted, someone that has normally given great advice. What if they have given you information that has proven to not work for you? How do you trust another situation like that again? Monrae?
So for me, honestly, y'all know what? I just went through this, right? I had one of my advisors actually recommended a service that I use, and the person, it was owned by somebody else, and the person really didn't do what they said they were going to do. Now, it wouldn't have mattered if it was $500, $1,000, but it was $52,000. So paying that and not getting what I wanted to step back and was like, well, should I be mad at my advisor? But I had to say, like, one, you can't control other people and what they do, right? Because I've been in the service-based industry where you lean on other people to help you do work, and if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then what can you do about it? And so I had to realize that, one, it wasn't his fault, but also that I have to take the initiative to vet what people are telling me too.
Absolutely.
Because, just because you're my mentor and just because, I see you that way, did I agree to do that? Did I sign the contract? So I have to take full responsibility for that. So I think a lot of times we hold people so close to God, you know, and we just expect them to have all the answers. And I went through that, even me being the mentor, right? Like, people have asked me a question, and I'm very much a Taurus. It's my way or no way, you know, so it's what I know, and that's it. And so I even had to step back one time because my client asked me, was like, well, what about this? You know, I'm like, I ain't teach you that. Do what I said, girl. Okay. And then I was like, okay, wait, let me look and listen to what she's saying, because this may be something else that can help. And I had to go back and say, okay, hey, y'all, I don't know everything. Like, the reason why I am such a good business coach is because the more money that I spend into myself and the more time I develop marketing by Monrae, y'all get all of that at a cheaper value. You know, get all of that information, because I want you guys, I don't want you just to have one viewpoint, but every time I learn something, when I went through the process of turning my contractors into employees and getting insurance and all of that, I gave that information directly to my audience. And now y'all can be able to do it. So I think that on the one side, as a mentor or a coach, you have to be like, okay, how can I be better? And then also let people know that you're human. But on the other side, if it happens to you, you have to know that they're a human and errors happen. You know, everything doesn't work for everybody, and you have to take accountability for yourself.
Absolutely.
That's powerful. Thank you so much for that. What about David?
I so agree. I so agree. One of the things I think that has allowed me to grow empathy is to say, if someone were to give me the wrong advice, I think it makes me, just reminds me of times when I've given the wrong advice. You know, it's simply like, if someone says, oh, David, you got to do it this way, this is this. And now, number one, like Monroe said, I also have to be accountable to my own decision, because even advice is simply that. It's advice. It's not etched in stone. It is what their perspective is. Then I have to take that information and I choose whether I sign on or not. And if I choose to sign on, then that is now a joint responsibility for whatever the results are. And so because the truth is, if you say, let's make a right, but I feel like we need to make a left, if I choose to go on the right with you, that now becomes my agreement with your narrative. And that now becomes, we both got us lost. Not you got us lost. We both got lost. And now we both need to figure it out. And I think part of what gives empathy in that is at times when, you know, I might feel really strongly about something, and I might have felt this was going to work. And maybe I looked at it and said, and had to go back to a client and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, you know, and try to clean it up. So I think it just brings me back. I think it's just about humility and understanding that even though all of us have accomplished a lot of great things and have done a lot of things, but none of us are perfect. Some of us, we still mess up. I
think it's the behavior of the person too. Like, how did they act after that? You know, if it was you know, if it's about, but if they go through and they're like, okay, we messed up, so we fix it together. Then you have to look at the character of the person. Now, they just leave you on the boat by yourself while thinking, and they jump off without you. Then, you know, you understand, like, okay, well, you're not the person that I'm supposed to be going on this journey with.
Absolutely.
Period. I like that. Yes, I love this. Thank y'all so much. This has been really, really good, and your input has been amazing for the emerging mogul who is really trying to find their way. From your perspective, David, if someone who wants a mentor and hasn't been able to find one, got it and dropped it yet, and to you, Monrae, somebody who's had one and is one to others, I appreciate your vantage points tonight. Little something I want to do as we wrap up before we go into the final close, where you kind of tell us more about how we can find you. I like to do these games with my guests now, where we do a little one word or one sentence answer, and it's either a completed sentence or it's a answer with a word. So get ready. It won't be hard. It'll be easy. So for instance, our first one, just to make it fun for what we're talking about tonight, is I need a mentor when, and David, answer that.
Come back to me. Let Monrae go.
I got you. Monrae, I need a mentor when.
I'm lost.
Ooh, that's good. All right. David, I need a mentor when.
When I'm ready for the next level.
I like that. My biggest obstacle to my next level is Monrae.
Ooh, me was the first thing that came
That's
up.
what I was gonna say too. I was gonna say, because it's true though.
First is me every day.
Honestly, it really, one thing that I've learned, especially in the last couple of years, anything you want is at your reach. Anything really is possible once you believe it.
Yes, yes. So is that yours too, brother?
Yeah, it is.
All right. What's the most difficult decision you've made to fulfill purpose? Monrae. It's not that $52,000. No, it's like
Now I would say it would have to be giving up my marketing firm to do coaching. Because at the time I didn't necessarily know I was even giving it up, but to fulfill my purpose, it feels better. I don't know how to even describe it. Like it's tingling inside when I do my coaching, and it felt good to do marketing, but it was like always, how you ever feel, have y'all ever feel like it's always a hurdle you gotta get over, and then when you start doing something you're supposed to be doing, it's just easy selling. That's how it has felt, even though I'm not going to say everything was easy, but it just felt better being able to help more people, more entrepreneurs, and seeing them be able to go from making $10 to $100 in their business to making thousands of dollars in the business just by my thoughts and my words. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. What about for you, David? What's the most difficult decision difficult decision that you've had to make to fulfill purpose?
Actually, it's coming up on my 1-year anniversary. So what a lot of people don't know is in 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, while I was still working the David brand, I also had a full-time job for a digital marketing agency where I was a digital marketing consultant. So I was meeting with small businesses all across Atlanta discussing their digital marketing platform on their local search settings on Google and, social media ads and all of that. And it was last year that I told God I did not want to take it into 2020. And I dragged my feet all year long until December 31st. I was like, all right, I resigned. And this has been the first year of just full-time entrepreneurship, believe it or not. I was doing double duty. And it's been a very rewarding experience.
Congratulations. Go ahead.
You said what?
I said in the midst of a pandemic.
Listen, let me tell you, because now I can say it on this side, but at the beginning when it happened, I was like, God, you shut me down. I just left a job that I have 5 years seniority in. Now,
come on.
we gonna have to see me through, but he did, so praise God.
you made it through because you were supposed to. I love it. Last two. What's the word that would describe why you are here, David?
Honestly, God. I really have to say God, because there's a lot of times every single day that I look around and realize the life that I'm living, and it's like I just didn't think it was possible, and this just feels like borrowed time, and I just have to say God.
All right. What about for you, Monrae?
Well, since he stole mine,
That's payback.
Right. I would definitely say purpose. Like I said before, like I really feel like I'm walking in my purpose every day. So I definitely would say purpose.
Awesome. And last one, the reason we need to forgive is Monrae.
Oh, listen, I'm a work in progress. No, just
Yeah.
No, I would say the reason you have to forgive is for yourself. A lot of times we feel like we're forgiving people for them, but we have to forgive them for ourselves so that we can move on and we don't carry that back.
That's good. What about for you, David? The reason we need to forgive is?
I completely agree. I could completely agree with Monrae. The reason we need to forgive is to release the bad energy.
Mm.
You know, that a grudge actually weighs more than freedom, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, even when we have relationships with people, whether it be friendships, you know, platonic, family, whatever, and we know that there's somebody that we don't like, don't deal with, we actually acknowledge that person in our mind more than we probably like to admit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, still ain't over some things. You know, I've got people in my life that I'm still not over. But the time that I get and release it and say all is forgiven and all is well, I feel better. And then I can be more productive even in my business. So my business needs me to forgive so it can prosper to be the best it can be.
Come on. I love that. See, that's why I do that. That's some good stuff right there. Some little gems just came out of all of that. And I want to thank you all. And thank you, my guests, Monrae, David. Both of you are amazing. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in and everybody who will watch this back. Thank you for sharing this moment for our community growth. And if you haven't already, tell a friend about Mogul in the Making and what we're doing here. But like Monrae said, you may need a mentor who helps you see yourself like you're the client. You need to figure out what you need, is what she also said. You need to figure out what you need before you seek someone to help you. Okay. I ain't say quite like her, but you know, I was close. And then your personal life reflects your business. But while David said some great things where mentors allow you to ask silly questions. Yes, that was good. You are a person with great potential within you as a seed. And then practice humility and have empathy for the people who give you advice. So thank you everyone for being a part. Thank you again, David. Thank you, Monrae. I want both of you to tell everybody where they can find you and what you're working on now. David, go ahead and tell us where we can find you and what you're working on.
So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at The David Brand. And then also on Twitter. I don't use it quite as much as I should, so don't get embarrassed by the lack of content. But it's at The David Brand PR. Certain projects that I'm working on. Let's see. So I've transitioned with being the publicist for the Clark Sisters. Still that, but I've transitioned to now being the publicist for Carew Entertainment. So for the actual record label. So I'm really excited about that. So there's a lot more projects that are coming up under. Jay Drew is a beast. Shout out to Jay Drew and all the different things that he does. People are just not fully aware as to just how incredible he is. And so working with that, also another good friend of mine, client, Micah Stampley, he has a beignet mix that is in the that's on Walmart.com. So if you want to get some good, make some good beignets, be sure to look out for him. Just signed another client, Bishop Greg Davis from the Word Network. He has a book out and has a single that's coming out at the top of January. Trina Braxton, she is promoting her hot sauce line, Bar Chicks, as well as her candle line, Essence. So be sure to check out that. TC Carson has music out called Come Together that speaks to the times. Byron Cage's birthday is tomorrow. Shout out to happy birthday, Byron Cage.
Brother Byron.
And his single, I Can't Give Up, is climbing the charts really big. The Clark Sisters single, His Love, is climbing the charts. So you can follow and see all of the exciting things that are happening with us right at the David Brand.
Awesome. I love that. Congratulations again, David.
Thank
you. What about for you, Monrae? Where can they find you? What are you working on?
Okay, so you can find me on all social networks, Marketing by Monrae, or you can go to the website marketingbymonrae.com. Or if you are looking to join a community of entrepreneurs to be able to help you and hold your hand and be able to lean on, you can download our app in the Apple App Store or the Android Play Store. It's called Millionaire Mob. And you can download that app, and that's where we're hanging out at. And if you're looking for mentorship or coaching, the number one thing I would do is always tell you to start with the $1 Million Planner. It is our complete campaign planner for you to be able to plan out your social media, but it also actually helps you. It starts with helping you figure out your business name, your brand identity, your hex code. Then you can plan out your social media, your ads, your campaigns, everything I do, my full method of how I was able to make 6 figures a month is in this planner. So that is where I would definitely tell you to start at. And like I said, you can follow me on all social networks at Marketing by Monrae.
Dave was like, he want one right now.
Did she say 6 figures a month?
Yes, that's what she said.
I'm leaving PR. I'm just kidding.
No, your blessing is right there. You just said it now. You just said it now. I ain't gonna let you slip out like that. Oh no!
Listen, I just didn't want to make sure we didn't graze over that.
Don't make no till bless you, Lord. Hallelujah.
Listen.
Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and congratulations on all your successes and all that you will accomplish as you stay the path and continue rising as moguls in the making. Look, to everybody out there, have a beautiful day. Remember to seek higher love because you are worth the love you seek. Have a beautiful day. I'm Byron Jamal. Take care and join us at byronjamal.com if you need more help with love, life, and relationships. Take care. Peace.